Hello my dear students. Now today topic is producer equilibrium. Production is the result of the output we produce by employing factors like land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. It is possible to determine the optimum amount of production possible considering different combination of these inputs. Such a determination is called the producer equilibrium. The value of all assets used for production is limited. Hence, the producer has to use such a combination of input as would provide him with maximum output and profit. This optimum level of production, also called the producer equilibrium, is achieved when maximum output is derived from the minimum cost. In order to achieve this, producers first have to classify their resources into different combinations. Each combination would provide different in different quantities. The combination that provide the highest amount of produce at the least amount of cost is the optimum level of output. Using this equilibrium, the producer can determine different combination to increase output. He can also use this information to find way to cut cost using the same input and consequently generate more profit. Now, firstly, before this defining what is producer equilibrium, it is important to note what is isocant line. An isocant line represents combination of two factors that can be bought with different outlay. In other words, it shows how we can spend money on two different factors of production, maximum output. These lines are also called budget line or budget constraint lines. Now this is an isocant line which shows how a producer use two combination of factor. One is labor and capital while using his total outlay of income, or it is the total budget line of a producer. Now producer equilibrium or optimization. Producer equilibrium or optimization occur when he earn maximum profit with optimal combination of factors. A profit maximization firm faces two choice of optimal combination of factors, that is input, to minimize his cost for a given output, and the second one is to maximize his output for a given cost. Thus, the least cost combination of factors refer to a firm producing the largest volume of output from a given cost and producing a given level of output with the minimum cost when the factors are combined in an optimum manner. We study this case separately. Firstly, we will discuss what is cost minimization for a given output. In the theory of production, the profit maximization firm is in equilibrium when given the cost price function. It maximizes its profit on the basis of least cost combination of factors. For this, it will choose that combination which minimizes its cost of production for a given output. This will be in the optimal combination for it. Now, this producer equilibrium is based on some assumptions. Now, first assumptions, there are two factors, labor and capital. Our unit of labor and capital are homogeneous, and the third one is the price of unit of labor W and that of capital R are given and constant. The cost outlay is given. Fifth one is the firm produces single product. Sixth one is the price of the product is given and constant. The firm aim at profit maximization. And the eighth one is there is perfect competition in the market. Now I'm just going to give the explanation of this. Given this assumption, the point of least cost combination of factor for a given level of output is where the isocant curve is tangent to an isocant line. In figure, the isocant line CGH is tangent to the isocant 200 at point M. The firm employ the combination of OC of capital and OL of labor to produce 200 unit of output at point M with a given cost outlay GH. At this point, the firm is minimizing its costs for producing 200 units. Any other combination on this isocant line such as R and or T is on the higher isocant line KP, which shows higher cost of production. The ISO cost line EF show lower cost but output 200 cannot be attained with it. Therefore, the firm will choose the minimum cost point M, which is at least cost factor combination for producing 200 unit of output. Now, there are the two essential or second order condition for the equilibrium of the firm. One is the firm condition is that the slope of the isocant line must equal to the slope of isocant curve. The slope of the isocant curve line is equal to the ratio of the price of the labor, that is W, to the price of the capital, that is R, that is W upon R. The slope of the isocant curve is equal to the marginal rate of technical substitution of labor and capital, marginal rate of technical of labor and capital, which is in turn equal to the ratio of marginal product of labor to the marginal product of capital, MPL upon MPC. Thus, the equilibrium condition for optimality can be written as W upon R is equal to MPL upon MPC is equal to marginal rate of technical substitution of labor and capital. Now, the second producer equilibrium with the optimum maximization for a given cost. The firm also maximizes its profit by maximizing its output given its cost outlay and the price of two factors. This analysis is based on the same assumption as given above. The conditions for the equilibrium of the firm are the same as discussed above. First, the firm is in equilibrium at point P where the isocant curve to tangent to the isocant line at CL in figure. At this point, the firm is maximizing its output level of 200 units while employing the optimal combination of OM of capital and ON of labor, given its cost outlay CL. But it cannot be at point E or F on the isocant line CL, since both points given a smaller quantity of output being on the isocant 100 than on the isocant 200. The firm can reach the optimal factor combination level of maximum output by moving along the isocant cost line CL from either point E or point F to point P. This movement involved no extra cost because the firm remain on the same isocant line. The firm cannot attain a higher level of output such as an isocant 300 because of the cost constraint. Thus, the max equilibrium point has to be P with the optimal factor combination OM and ON at point P. The slope of the isocant curve 200 is equal to the slope of the isocant line CL. It implies that W upon R is equal to MPL upon MPC is equal to marginal rate of technical substitution of labor and capital. Now, these are the some link of YouTube.